Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. Today's game at the tabletop is called Ancient Aliens, Creators of Civilization. In Ancient Aliens, you're going to be playing one of 4 different alien races, as well as trying to obtain things like residential and religious buildings. And as you obtain these different buildings or different locations, you're going to be getting crystals and points and progressing through different tracks. And you're also going to be fighting against your opponents. Everybody's going to get their own continent, and you're going to be trying to stop them from building on theirs, as well as progressing as much as you can on yours. And once you get all these different tracks all the way to the end of your board, you're going to then tally up all the points you've acquired via the different landmarks you've gotten, as well as residential, industrial, and religious sites, and any other little bonus points you can get. And at the end of the game, you see who wins by whoever has the most points. Alright, let me go ahead and show you what the game looks like. Alright guys, so here is Ancient Aliens and all the different stuff it's going to be for a 3-player game. Now it comes with 4 total players, but we're just going to use these 3 as an example because it's a pretty big game. Every player is going to get one of their own player boards, as well as a portion of the main board, this little continent here, for each of the different players, which represent the place you're going to be playing on most of the game. Also, you're going to be getting different tech options, little tokens here, as well as your little resource options over here. You're going to put them all right here, so it represents 0. That's where you start off with most of your resources. Everybody's going to get a crystal, as well as putting all of the crystals underneath this handy-dandy little platform here. Comes with a little player card as well. You're going to get your own deck with 3 different tech options. It says Tech 1 here, but there should be Tech 1, 2, and 3, which will be fixed later. You've also got your different alien races. Every single person's going to get one of these, which will also tell you what you start the game with, as well as your special agenda and what happens at the end of the game. Not only that, but you're also going to get a bunch of tokens here. These tokens are going to represent your different things like production, religious, and residential places, as well as these ones here, which mean you can co-ownership, or we can take over some other people's stuff, or co-ownership their different buildings. Whenever they build stuff like this, you can just pop them on there, which I'll explain a little more in detail later. So this is what we're going to be building with these things here. So that's pretty much what you get with the game, other than just knowing that these are different little places you're going to be putting your stuff, as well as the monuments here. And they're all based on the different symbols. And the symbols are actually directly on the board here, so you can see that. Pretty simple, that's how they work. 1, and this one over here is, let's see, this is a 3, and then it has a little symbol for 3 there. And that's how it works. So, yep, this is pretty much what you get in the game. So let's go ahead and talk about the turn. Okay, so to start a turn off in Ancient Aliens, you're going to get to select different tech cards. Now, at the beginning of the game, obviously, you're going to start with Tech 1, and as you increase your different things, like your science and your loyalty, you'll be able to draw additional tech cards, or additionally, like Tech 2 and Tech 3 cards instead of the Tech 1s. So right here, I've got 5 of my Tech 1 cards, and every single one of the tech cards is going to have 3 different options as to what you can do with them. The first being something maybe like building or improving upon something. This one here has science, and it says you can improve upon it, so you could do that if you wanted. Or down here, this one says you can gain a certain amount of crystals, which can be used on your turn to build things. And finally, this is an action that can be taken on your turn, whether it be defense, or maybe to aid yourself, or to attack your opponent. So you get to use those. And basically you're going to be playing all the cards in your hand, or as many as you possibly can, and then building and using so on and so forth with these cards. And after that, you're going to discard all the remaining cards, and then draw up to your hand size of 5 based on the tech trees that you've got down here. So if you've got 2 in Tech 2, so science and maybe loyalty in 2, and everything else is just 1, so you draw the rest in 1s. And then after you're done playing all your cards and using all your crystals and whatnot, you're going to pass your turn, and then somebody else is going to take their turn and draw their cards, and they're going to have their cards in their hand, and so on and so forth. Let me go ahead and show you how the game works to make it more sense. Okay, so it's the green player's first, and he's got his 5 cards in hand. And as you can see, there's different things you can do on each of the cards. So what he wants to do is, obviously, he wants to improve upon different things like science, or improve on his engineering whenever he plays a card. So if he wants to improve on his engineering, right, he would just play this card, it would go to his discard pile, and he would move up that little wrench up here. Now, once it gets past this, once it gets to this area, that means it's in the 1 area, and then if it gets over here, it's in the 2, and over here, the 3. And when all 3 of these pieces are like this, that is the last turn of the game. So he's just going to play that 1 card, and it's going to move up like that. Now, he could, if he wanted to, he could play this one here and improve it 1 more time. Or if he wanted to, he could go for the second action. This says gain 3 crystals. So he'd take 3 crystals from under here, and he puts them over here. In this location is where you're going to actually be using your crystals, and they go away at the end of your turn if you don't use them. And over here is crystals that stay with you. You'll use them, and then you'll get rid of them. Now, when you have no residentials or anything like that over here to begin with, you're simply going to be playing here, and this gives you 1 in each location, or 2 in 1 location. So here we need 1, 2, and 3, so we could do 2 and 4 and 6 if we wanted to, right? What else do we got? We can build a residential if we want. Let's see if we can do that. So on here is residential, and this says it costs 4, and we mark the symbols along with each other, and we then determine if we can build it or not, if there's anything that requires them to be built. Over here on the left-hand side is what it requires, and over here is what you have to pay to do so. So we can do that. So we will spend the 4, move this down to 0, and then we'll flip this over and place this on the location that matches. Once we do that, we then can place one of our locations, little markers over here, on the start area of our board. So we just match this with matching this. Now, whenever we want to place a new location or build a new location, it has to be around here. And it's going to be based on the locations we're going to be building. So that is done. This card goes away. Now, in most instances, when you gain something, like let's say you gain one of these guys here and you flip it over, these are things that can be used. So here we go. Yeah, these things that can be used to place a crystal on. If we had one over here, we could place it on here to gain different things. Like this would give you 2 resources of this. So it would move over like that. But if you buy a residential area like we just did, then we're going to actually be getting an additional one of these guys here, a little crystal, that's put into our guaranteed spot, so it lasts the rest of the game, which is really, really nice. But it doesn't give us the ability to use the crystals on here to give you additional resources. So it's kind of a trade-off, right? So that would happen, all right? And these guys are pretty much burnt. They're not good. They're not used for anything anymore. And we got 2 more cards here left over. Do I want to improve? So I'll improve my science, I guess, and get rid of this. Now, if we wanted, we could always use the bottom here, which is a defense. But unfortunately, because we're not being attacked by anybody, which is something you're going to use on somebody else's turn, you can play this card to stop from like a toxic gas, which actually would be this card. So if somebody played this card on us, we could play this one and negate this card from hurting us. Sometimes they get rid of different locations, and other times they actually steal locations and whatnot. So we can build another residential area, which we don't have enough points for. So it looks like we can get crystals, but unfortunately we have no more cards left on our hand. So this one just kind of gets burnt. After that, we'd move on to the next player's turn. And that next player would be over here. He would draw his cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'd actually have them already in his hand. And what can he do? Well, sometimes you might want to just go ahead and increase things. So we got here 2 wrenches. So we move that guy up like that. And these would go away. And what else do we got here? Build religious area, build another residential. We could do that. So we could spend these 2 cards for 3 more crystals. And get 3 more. Put them in their side area. And in that case, we would then be able to up our increase, as well as buying this residence, putting it down, adding another crystal. And if we wanted to, we could spend more crystals, but we don't really need to. And we also can't buy another residential, so this would get burnt too. And once again, into another turn order. And that is basically how you take a turn. So we've talked a little bit about the tech track right here, this little economy track, right? And as you progress from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, you're going to be able to buy a higher-end civilization stuff, like better residentials and better religious stuff. And it's going to cost you different things, but it's going to give you better things as well. So for this one here on the far left-hand side is going to be all the costs. So it might say you're going to need a 2 for science and a 2 maybe for loyalty, and maybe a 1 for engineering. And if you have that on the board, you can then make that thing, right? So as you progress this track, you're not building as much as maybe other people, but you're going to progress your culture into the fact that you're able to build better stuff, right? Which additionally gives you better points at the end of the game. As well as, if you notice over here on this board, there's 3 different tracks here that represent all the different things you can build, as well as on this far left-hand side over here, or far right-hand side for you guys, is going to be landmarks. And if you have the same requirements and the same costs, you can build things like these landmarks here that are going to give you additional points at the end of the game, and those can be very useful. So as you finish up filling up this board, because once you've got your board filled up, that's pretty much it. I mean, most games that we played, we didn't manage to fill this whole thing up anyway. But yeah, once you progress through this whole track, after the last person, the person gets to the last tracker. So if he gets all the way from 3 to the end, and then 3 to the end, and finally the last one here, that's the last turn of the game, and then points are going to be scored up. Alright, so now it's time for scoring. Now, like I said, the first player to get all of his improvement tokens to table tokens to the civilized stage over here, it triggers the game, and the game is immediately over after his turn is over. That person is going to score 10 points instantly. Now, I guess what we do here is, you could have it on a piece of paper or whatever, but we just go ahead and do this. So bam, that's 10 points there. The next thing you're going to do is for all the built buildings. And you look over here at the bottom right-hand side, and it tells you 1, 5, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 24, 25, 26, 27 points. So we would just go 1, 2, and add the 7, so that makes that there. So see how that works, is 27, which makes it 37. After that, then we go ahead and total all of our monuments and stuff. I already went ahead and did that, but these would be the items and monuments here. Finally, we would go for 1 point for each owned crystal. So 2, 4, 6, and 7 points. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, and 7. and gain points for all the alien space agendas and stuff like that. So every alien is going to have something like this. And it says here, gain 3 points for each residential building they control outside of their own continent here. So if I controlled any of these guys' residential areas, then I would gain points for that, but I didn't. So that would basically be if I either co-ownershiped with somebody's residential by placing something like this, or no, over here, sorry. Or if I actually stole one of their spaces simply by placing mine on there, right? That would be another way to do that. But after that, everybody would go ahead and do the same thing, and the person with the most amount of points at the end is the winner of the game. Also, a couple things to note after the game is over, but it is still relevant to know, is on this board here, you've got 2 different portions, right? Little rectangles. On the left-hand side is going to be where your crystals stay forever. That's the ones you acquire through residencies. Whereas on the right-hand side, these are where you're going to acquire through playing cards. And once you're done on the end of your turn, all of these go away, all the ones you haven't spent. As well as everything on the bottom here, all this currency goes away as well. However, your tech tree doesn't, and neither does your residencies. Another thing to note, too, is when you're playing the 4th player game, there's a specific gray or white faction that you're going to be playing with, and you can only play that in the 4-player game because it has a specific ruling on the cards, the character card itself, where you need to have all 4 players to play. Anyway, that's the basic idea of how to play Ancient Aliens. Let me go ahead and tell you what I think about it. Alright, so Ancient Aliens by Gamea Games. So what do I think about this game? Well, first off, it makes for a very good 2-player game. Also, makes for a really good 4-player game. In fact, the more players you have for this game, the better. It's very tactical, it's very strategic, and it does require a lot of thinking. You need to know when you want to place different cards, and how you place them matters. Deciding on which of the 3 different actions to use on your card is also very important. Now, where most of the things are going to happen on your turn, drawing the cards at the end of your turn are going to be beneficial because you can use them to defend against yourself. There's such things like Toxic Plague, and there's certain things people can pull cards out of your hand, as well as flooding, and there's all different kinds of defenses that will stop from happening to you. There's also bonus cards as you go throughout the different tech decks here, and the bigger tech decks you get, the better the cards are going to be in them. Like, for instance, at the top of here, this card says you can get 2 of any of your choice for as far as improving your tree. Going across this little platform here. I also mentioned too that residencies and stuff like that stay on the board. That's not necessarily true because people can actually steal the residencies you have or destroy them. So it's interesting to note that when you're getting all these cards and you're playing this kind of solitaire game where it feels like it's, you're going and everything's going according to plan, and suddenly somebody drops a nuke on you. Or they jump on and steal your territory. You have to be aware of these and decide when and how you want to build. Sometimes you might want to go the building route. Sometimes you might want to actually go the route of securing, the cards, the tech cards track to go ahead and actually get the cards you need to destroy your opponents. So that way, while they think they're ahead, they're slowly dwindling away. And where it cost them 3 cards to play this building, they've now lost it due to just 1 card. Very interesting and unique. I also think the component quality is amazing. All the art design is really nice as well. It does feel like you're an ancient alien culture trying to control these little continents and going across this world and destroying all the other ancient aliens, but also where you feel like you're kind of safe in your own little secure place until something happens to you. A nice little addition too is this little thing here, which allows you to, have the little crystals underneath it as well. But also you can be playing cards on this thing. So when you play your cards for attacking, you're going to actually be pointing it at a certain player, and they're going to know it's their card that's being attacked on, they're being attacked by. But you can also kind of co-own certain things as well. So it has that cosmic encounter kind of feel. The game is definitely set apart by a lot of other games, and this game is definitely worth checking out. Now, what I will say though is that the game is kind of luck-based as far as when you're pulling cards. Now, I'll give it that the 2 and 3 techs are going to improve your chances of drawing better cards, but sometimes you're not going to draw that cloud card, the medicine card that's going to save you from the gas that's killing your planet. And other times you're going to want certain things, and you're not going to get them. But in general, it's how you play the game that is going to decide whether or not you're going to play it well. And it does require a lot of thought. So don't think of this game as it is a very thick game as far as a learning curve and understanding how everything works. Once you do grasp the game though, the turns go by really fast and the game is very simple to understand. So that's pretty much what I think about Ancient Aliens by Gamea Games. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, go ahead and check out the rest of our content here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. As well as checking out Ancient Aliens by Gamea Games, currently on Kickstarter. Description in the link below. Alright guys, also go ahead and check our website, unfilteredgamer.com. You'll see tons of blog posts, giveaways, news, and more, as well as checking out our affiliate websites, everythingboardgames.com, The Giveaway Geek, and Devitos Gaming. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer video, and we look forward to seeing you next time.